Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the Lockdown on pushthebutton.ie and the lockdown.ie. Well, I've got me cup of coffee and I'm ready to speak to my next guest. He's an absolute legend. You would have known him from the radio and the TV. Now, he's changed his career completely. Let's catch up with Joe Donnelly. Joe, how's it going?
Steve, how are you keeping? Are you well?
I'm fantastic, thanks very much. Considering all this madness that's going on in the world at the moment.
Yeah, it is. It's it's a weird one, all right. I think psychologically, you can tell from reading posts on social media, which you shouldn't really read them too often. But people have good days and bad days. You know, I think. I also think. If you haven't lost someone close to you because of the virus, or if you still have your and you still have your job, you're still getting paid for work, then you don't probably have too much to complain about compared to some people. If that doesn't sound too pious, which it's to try and keep things in perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You're still working away anyway.
Yeah, so I work with Rascals Brewing after 16 years working in radio.
I know, how did you, first off, you were in radio and you were quite successful in radio, and then I remember the email went around one day, it was like, Joe's leaving, he's going to work for a brewery, and we were like, why? No, Joe, don't go.
Yeah.
Was it a difficult decision?
It was a very difficult decision. It was, I would say it was probably the most difficult decision of my life. Without doubt, 16 years working in radio, I did love it and I still do love it.
Yeah.
But genuinely, I think I wanted a change. I wanted to do something different. I ended up working in management in radio. The last radio post I held was the assistant program director with Today FM. That was from November 2016 to September 2018, so almost 2 years. And that's very different to being on air. And it was really rewarding when things went well, and it was really challenging work. But it's just different. And I suppose the feelings that I had around working in radio then. It kind of just pointed me in the direction of something new. I just felt I'd done a lot and I wanted a different challenge. I know that sounds kind of cliched, but it really was like that. When TXFM closed down, which was formerly Phantom, that was a huge disappointment for everyone who worked there.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt that it was going to be hard to replicate the sense of reward and enjoyment that I got working there. And that's no disrespect to any other radio station or anything like that. It's just really a fact. So that was probably that was hard to get over for a while, and I think that also contributed to wanting to try something new. But yeah, 16 years. It was as you know, our paths crossed plenty of times. And I really loved all the positions. The Spin Breakfast Show was the first full-time on-air gig that I had with Keith Walsh.
Yeah.
And, lovely memories, brilliant time, absolutely brilliant time. I feel really lucky.
Yeah, and it was a great show as well, and it did really well.
It was good crack, yeah, it was good crack. But
you've done television as well, though, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there was small bits and pieces. I don't know if anyone remembers Shoiga and O'Shea.
Yes.
On RTE, which I think became the two Shoigas. I think it was Grania and Sheila. I think Joe O'Shea left. But myself and Keith Walsh actually did some kind of comedy inserts for that. There were a few bits and pieces along the way, but it was the Gadget Buzz series on TV3. There was 2 series of that, and I was a presenter, and yeah, I loved it. It was brilliant. Really loved doing that. TV is a fickle kind of industry if you're into presenting. There's absolutely zero guarantee that you're going to get a lot of work consistently, or you'll achieve what you want to achieve with it. But it was good fun.
It was. I remember the Gadget Buzz as well, because I was on an episode showing you how to scratch.
Yeah, that's right. In the right venue.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was mad.
It was good.
A good while ago.
So now you're working for a brewery. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so around the summer of 2018, Rascals Brewing Company, which were in Rathcoole, they were expanding and they were setting up a new brewery 3 times the size of the old one, but also a restaurant and a tap room and event spaces in Inchicore. And they were looking for someone to be their marketing manager, but a very broad role as well. I mean, marketing, social media, communications, PR, even a lot of event planning.
Jesus, you must be loaded on all those job titles.
Yeah. Well, the short answer to that is no. But, no, it is very rewarding. But I had developed a bit of an interest in craft beer, and I did a podcast series called Tins and Tunes, which was a tongue-in-cheek album and beer pairing a podcast series. Look, it was more about exploring albums that I really loved, and then I'd recommend beers to drink with it. But I was always a big fan of Rascals, and I got to know them, and I got to know other people in the craft beer industry, and you just kind of develop a relationship with them, and they invited me to some things. But a conversation began in the summer of 2018 about working for them.
Okay.
And as I said earlier, it was a very difficult decision to make, but when it became clear that this was a career change opportunity, eventually, it was too good for me to pass up. That's the truth. When I stacked up all the pros and cons, and there were a lot of sleepless nights, and it was a huge thing. You'd feel, well, at my age, I can't change career now. Sure, that's crazy. I'd have to upskill, and how can I do that? And I can honestly say, as scary and intimidating as that was, I haven't looked back at all. Absolutely not. So. The role began in September 2018.
Okay.
And it's a big operation. Looking after all those particular job roles within this marketing manager title. But it's really good. There's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of fun to be had, and we can unlike the big beer companies like Heineken and Diageo. We have a lot of flexibility. We can do things. There isn't committees to run things by. If someone has an idea, it's executed. If it doesn't work out, grand, move on to the next thing. There's no
right. Yeah,
it's
a bit like radio.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, I suppose being agile and nimble and having to turn around an idea quickly and having to react to stuff. I definitely got a lot of that in radio, but also being proactive.
Yeah.
And trying to get ahead of things. Say for example with the lockdown, with online beer sales, immediately we knew we had to really develop that better. We had an online store, which wasn't used much, obviously, because people could go to the pub and they could go to off licenses. So that sort of right quick. We have to do something now. You're right. That's a good point. There's a lot of that in radio as well.
Yeah. So like with the online beer sales since the lockdown, obviously all the pubs and venues and clubs are all closed, with no idea of when they're even going to reopen again. I'm not even going to go into the rumours of when people are saying and leaked papers saying that it's going to be like a year's time. So let's not visit that. So how is the online business with people ordering beers online? Is that working out, or are people still going to the shops as well?
I think it's absolutely working out. I think there's some very interesting stuff that's going to happen. I think people's online purchasing behaviours are going to change dramatically after this. I think this is a crisis for craft brewing, but it is also an opportunity to look at selling direct to consumers, and that's something that can be done relatively easily. And in fact, your overheads are reduced a lot by going direct to customers. We've noticed that people have really adopted buying a case of Rascals as something that they would do now. I think if they were just going to do their weekly shop, what we've noticed is that we've had a lot of repeat orders, which is great.
That's fantastic.
People wouldn't buy your beer twice if they didn't like it.
Yeah.
But it's also got us thinking that this is an opportunity to develop a very strong, to become an online retailer and to look at e-commerce and to really explore it and exploit it as well. So look, it's still, and anyone in the industry will tell you this, it's still a fraction of what you would, the revenue you'd be generating from draft sales, of course. But, this is a changed landscape now, and you have to react and you have to adapt to it. So I think there could be a big change out of this. I think people might start buying more online, and before, buying beer online was seen as either a novelty or an occasional treat, and now I think, you know, it could become much more normalised.
So, business aside, and the brewing and the radio and the TV, what about you and the family? What's it like in the Donnelly household at the moment?
Oh, it's just absolutely brilliant. If anyone is listening, this is the best time of my life. No, look, like everyone, it's challenging. I'm married with 2 boys aged 14 and 10. We've 2 dogs as well. You know, it's a busy enough house. But there's enough space and a garden and a basketball ring for everyone to go and just cool off or have their own bit of quiet time or whatever that may be. And the 2 lads are brilliant, in fairness to them. They're really into basketball. They're out all the time. And the weather's been so good.
Have you played basketball with them?
Yeah, the old man still has it, you know.
Does he, though?
Well, thankfully, no video footage exists of me getting humbled in a 2 against 1. No, it is funny. Yeah, go out the odd time. I know they're good. Like, they're sure the 14-year-old is the same height as me, you know. So.
Oh wow.
I'm doomed. But you know, look, we're lucky. We're lucky. There's a bit of space. There's a garden, and you just have to muddle through, and you just have to try and get on with it. So. Yeah, look, like everyone, it is challenging, but if you haven't been affected really personally by the virus and you're just inconvenienced, you just have to keep that in mind when you're having a bad day.
Exactly. Listen, Joe, thanks so much for taking your time out and catching up with us. Love to your family, and best of luck with everything.
You too, Stephen. Thanks a million, and thanks for asking me on the lockdown.
Thank you so much, Joe, for having a catch up with us on the lockdown. All Joe's links are down below on our YouTube page. Share the video, tag a friend, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching, and stay safe.
Yeah.